Hey friends, it's UrsulasRevenge. It is the last day of the month, which means we have a new blog post. And this blog post is dedicated to all things Equestrian Festival, which starts tomorrow. It's insane to say, I'm so excited about it. So let's take a look at the blog post. I'll read everything to you bit by bit while we go do some training. And we'll just, we'll yap about the Equestrian Festival in the blog post for a bit. Before we get into the blog post though, there is something really exciting on Star Stable's Instagram. On their stories, they have a couple of questions for us to let us know our thoughts about what the birthday horse should be this year, because apparently there's going to be a new coat variation releasing on Star Stable's birthday. Now, we don't know if this is going to be a free horse, we don't know if this is going to be a paid horse, we don't know if this is going to be a permanent variation, we just know that there's going to be a variation. So, if you want to let your voice be heard, you want to give your input, go ahead to Star Stable's Instagram on their stories and submit what you want the breed and the coat color to be. And if you're just as nosy as I am, I chose the Swedish Warmblood for two reasons. First, I love training mine, and that jump is just phenomenal and amazing. And two, it's a Swedish horse game. I feel like it's only fitting for them to have Swedish horse for their 15th anniversary. And plus, we already did a Jorvik Wild horse for 10 years. Now, am I a little biased because it's the newest horse? Maybe, but I don't care. And for the coat, I said something unrealistic and unique, like a shimmery rose gold Perlino with Tobiano markings. I don't know. I'm missing some of the unrealistic, unique coats that the game has put out in the past. Like, I know there was this whole push for everything to be realistic, but I don't know. It's a fantasy horse game. We should have some fantasy coat colors. So again, if you want to cast your vote, make sure to go to Star Stable's Instagram sometime today, because after 24 hours, these stories disappear. Alright, and on to the blog. This article is written by Ella from Narrative Design. Hey there, Star fam, getting sick of me yet? Too bad, so sad, I'm back. I have thawed out from the Winter Festival, so with spring around the corner and a blog post from a local narrative designer, that can only mean one thing. It's festival time, baby. I'm of course talking about the Equestrian Festival. During our pre-production phase, which is a 2-week period where we sit down, plan, scope, brainstorm, all that fun stuff, back in long gone January, we started discussing the equestrian theme. So far, the Equestrian Festival has been themed around fancy and English riding, but looking at the definition of equestrian, of relating to or featuring horseback riding, it should be inclusive of more than just English riding. To begin with, we needed to open up the theme to the possibility of including more than just English riding in the future. So for this year's festival, we were not able to add other riding disciplines. So what does opening up the theme mean? It means pushing our current boundaries. Creating only elite English riding content becomes a bit repetitive after a while. We wanted to expand the Equestrian Festival into a horse-centric event, celebrating the bond between riders and horses and anything horse-themed. So we started looking at similar real-life festivals and shows, namely the Sweden International Horse Show. SIHS is one of the world's biggest equestrian events, so why not take some inspiration to bring to one of Jorvik's biggest equestrian events? Something all of us designers were quite charmed by was the amount of silly found at SIHS. Hobby horsing, fun shows, and Shetland steeplechases to name a few. So why shouldn't the Equestrian Festival have something silly? Lucky for us, quite a few silly people work here at SSE, and they have had quite a few silly passion projects. Projects we work on for fun, but with the hopes that one day we'll make it into the game. So when a horse mascot and a bouncy horse were available to us, we simply could not say no. This is how we ended up with McHorse, and that is all I'll say on the matter. I'll leave it to them to tell you about it when the festival begins. Or, to be fair, I guess the two designers we caught and put in front of a mic with the instruction, okay, scream as if you're stuck in a horse suit, will tell you about it. But adapting to life in a horse suit isn't the easiest feat, and running a festival while stuck in a horse suit is even more difficult. So there will be plenty of things to assist them with. May that be making sure all the activities work as intended, or working on the teamwork between McHorse face and his near and dear rear. Now, bouncy horses. Did Direction ask us to give the festival more spring, or are we just very passionate about silly stuff? I guess we'll never know. But if we'd happen to be very passionate about the silly stuff, and if we'd happen to have directors that are very passionate about silly stuff, we may just cram in even more silly things. For long, there has been a certain dark rider-shaped cloud looming over the Equestrian Festival, a story many veteran players have played over and over again each year. But with the reframing of the festival, mixed with the general fatigue of this quest, the executive decision to move it out of the Equestrian Festival was made. So this will be the last year Sabine will taunt you at the Equestrian Festival. I shall protect you. She can't hurt you no more, my sweet flower. Back to the new content. To Janica's delight, we're adding not one, not two, not Okay, this got boring really quick. We're adding 4 new races, so you may delight in sprinting and bouncing through various courses. I even heard we're getting a blast from a very distant past. Some may even say it's part of a legacy. Furthermore, on the horse-centric theme, this year's festival comes loaded with a quest quizzing about horses, a quest riding a horse, a quest finding a horse, and that's not even all. Phew, who put this many horses in my horse game? Horses, I'm so glad you mentioned them, because on that note, Pizzazzy Pony is beginning to show me his moves, so I gotta go. I've gotta be honest, I've never seen someone bounce, so I'm really excited to see this. Hope to see you all bouncing around the festival grounds alongside McHorse's shenanigans this spring. Bye! Okay, I am really excited to take this bit by bit. There's a lot that was kind of in here. If you were eagle-eyed in the trailer video that they posted, you might have also seen some things too. But let's go down and kind of, just a couple of things I want to like pick out and talk to you about. So first, with the theme in general. So I know I had kind of like, not like publicly theorized about this, but I talk about this game a lot with my friend Apple. And we were big fans of it being like, oh, Equestrian Festival's for English writing and Western Festival or Camp Western is for Western writing, and having that separation. We didn't really think it made sense to have like the Red String Trail with the Equestrian Festival when it could have gone to Camp Western and kind of filled out that event more. However, it seems like they are going more in a direction where the Equestrian Festival is supposed to celebrate all equestrian disciplines. I don't know, I'm a little bit mixed on that. I can see how it could be good because, yeah, they're right. It should celebrate all equestrian and horse bonds, not just English riding. I did like how prestigious and like professional, I guess fancy, the Equestrian Festival was, because it felt like something like you almost needed to be invited to, which I mean, of course, we're all playing the game, everybody's invited to the Equestrian Festival, but like, I don't know, it just, there's something about it that felt fancy and nice, and I prefer English writing myself, so I kind of liked that air. I was hesitant to kind of adopt this silly Equestrian Festival. However, the more I'm reading about it, honestly, the visuals are really silly and really fun, and this game in itself is a really silly game. So I think it makes sense to bring a little silliness into the Equestrian Festival. I think that it may also entice people who aren't really into that kind of like elitist vibe that the Equestrian Festival has. So it kind of like tones it down a little bit and makes it a little bit more approachable. Like, obviously the English writing isn't going away. This isn't just Western Festival 2.0. I do hope though that there's still at least like a significant portion of English, just because, well, then we'll have a half and half event and then we'll have another full Western Festival. All in all, what I'm hoping this is getting across is that I am excited about these changes. Despite being a little bit hesitant, I do think that this was the right direction for Star Stable to take with the Equestrian Festival. I think that it's more inclusive. I think that they can have a lot more fun with it, which in turn I think will make the players have more fun with it. So I am still really excited about this festival. To be fair, it was due for an update. The last year's festival was a little bit stale. There was a lot of returning things, and some of the new stuff that they added last year just wasn't as good as some of the stuff they've added to other festivals. I'm talking about you, Treasure Hunt. So I do think that significant change was needed for the Equestrian Festival. It's also cool that these changes were partly inspired by the silliness that they saw at the Swedish International Horse Show. Like, it's really cool that a Jorvik event was inspired by a real-life event, and that they have silliness at real-life events. So it kind of like, you know, just makes sense to also add it to the game. Like, it doesn't have to be 100% serious and professional all the time. Like, you can still have some silly elements. It can still be fun. So I do really like that. I hope that that means that we're getting kind of like even more like just fun content and not like realistic content. Because I just went off on this whole tangent earlier about how, sure, realism is fine, but like it's also fun to have fantasy elements. So I'm excited about this. I think that this will be really cute. So I think implementing that vibe into the Equestrian Festival is honestly, I think it's a good call. Now, speaking of the silliness, McHorse. So listen, as much as I loved the original NPCs that hosted the Equestrian Festival, Lily Bones, maybe not so much. I swear if I had to listen to her rap one more time, I would have just skipped the intro quest. I say listen, I meant read her rap. But anyways, yeah, I think changing the mascot is definitely the way to go. I'm excited for the new mascot. I think this means that we're getting new introductory quests, which also sorely needed to be updated, because I pointed this out last year. but the information in the intro quest was outdated and talked about things that either weren't there, were relocated, or were no longer implemented in the game. So that intro quest severely needed to be updated. So I'm hoping that with this new mascot, maybe with some new activities and some activities that have possibly potentially been removed, we'll get a new updated intro quest, which will be really exciting. As for the mascot himself, I think it's so cute. I think it's so silly. I think it's so goofy. I love it. And I'm pretty sure the name is in reference to like Bodie McBoatface and Planey McPlaneface. I think that's the name of the plane that was voted on. That's my guess of what it's a reference to. It also looks like we are getting the chore board, which I speculated in the Next Up in Jorvik. It looks like McHorse will have a chore board, which will help us kind of keep track of the events that we still have to do. And also kind of contribute to an overall storyline for the festival. And probably, I'm not sure what the capstone prize is going to be. Usually, like, we kind of like know like a pet that's coming. The only pet that I know is coming, I'm pretty sure, is for the April Fool's joke. But I mean, it's possible that it is the pet that's coming with April Fool's, but you just get it at the end of the festival. I'm not sure. I'm curious, but I guess we'll find out more tomorrow. I can't wait. I'm so excited. I'm so excited about the bouncy horses. I have so many ideas for silly events with these bouncy horses, and I cannot wait. I'm so excited. They also did mention Dark Rider Sabine. If they are going the sillier route, I think it does make sense to remove her quest. To be fair, I was already on board with them removing or they said move it out of the Equestrian Festival. I don't know if that means it's gone forever. I'm pretty sure that it's going to be gone forever, but I guess we'll see. But yeah, since they're going a sillier route, I think the serious Sabine quest maybe doesn't fit anymore. So this is your last year to do it. If you haven't done it yet, if this is your first Equestrian Festival, definitely do that quest because the rewards for it are really good. You get a lot of shillings, and the outfit is just, it's peak. I love that shirt and the gloves. And on to new content. So the Equestrian Festival has always been a festival that had a lot of races. I want to say it had like 5 races at Jorvik Stables, and then you could do them again because they were group races. And then at Moreland, there were 2 races that could then also be group races. And then Sabine had, I don't remember if it was 1 race or 2 races. But Sabine also had races later on in the festival. I don't know if everything's going to be added up front or what, but I want to say in the trailer I did see it looked like her races would be returning. And I hope so because I really like those races. So if you have a lot of horses to train, this will be the time to do it. I historically don't ever have that many horses to train, but my friend Apple, I want to say like trained like 20% of her horses that were still remaining to be trained last year, and she like really caught up to the point where now she has only a few horses left to train. She regularly catches up to her training like I do. So the Equestrian Festival is a great way to make a dent in training horses that you either just don't have time to train because you get a ton of horse experience, so much horse experience. So I'm excited for even more races. One of the races I did want to point out, they mentioned is part of a legacy. So I mentioned in the Next Up in Jorvik that I didn't know what they meant by this, but smart people in the community and my community in JORSPACE kind of put me onto the theory that this might be Sabine and Lisa's race from Starshine Legacy, because it also has legacy in the name, and they're also saying it's part of a legacy. And I went back and I replayed it, and yes, it does look like the tournament race from Lisa's final chapter titled The Tournament. I'll put the full video here of what that looks like, at least 1 lap. So functionally in Starshine Legacy, it was 3 laps 3 times to do like best of 3 between Lisa and Sabine. I don't know if this race will do that or if it'll just do the 3 laps. Or honestly, if it'll only be 1 lap, who's to say? That said, I don't think it's exactly the same, but I do think it's highly inspired by it. But yeah, it's a fun race, I think, anyway. It's a unique race for sure. We don't have anything else like this currently in Star Stable. And it's also fitting because in Starshine Legacy, it also took place in the big arena at Jorvik Stables. So I think it's really fun that they are looking at Starshine Legacy to kind of pull some inspiration from. They obviously can't do that for too much because if you've played Starshine Legacy, the story is very bare bones. There's not a whole lot there. I see this argument a lot where people say, well, it's nothing like the original game. And it's like, no, of course not. The original game took 20 minutes to play. There's barely any story there. Not enough to sustain a 15-year MMO anyway. But yeah, I digress. Other new content is a lot of horse-related things, as they said. We know that we are getting a horse quiz because that was mentioned in the Next Up in Jorvik. I'm wondering if this is kind of like, I think it was Christy Griswold's quest last year. Like, she would ask you questions and you'd have to say what horse it was. I didn't think it made sense for Christy to host that, to be honest with you. So now that we're maybe getting a new NPC for that, I think that that's a better idea. Because then it also kind of brings it back to, like, the horse quizzes from, like, I think it was birthday event. So that should be pretty fun. And even just in the Next Up in Jorvik, we knew that there were a couple of new quests mentioned. So it looks like there's a lot to come in this Equestrian Festival. I'm really excited to explore it all. But ultimately, that is it for this blog post. These next 4 weeks with the Equestrian Festival, I think, are going to be really fun. I'm really excited to tell you all about them, especially for the start tomorrow. I'm aiming to be up before the update goes live, which usually I'm not. Usually it goes up about an hour before I wake up, but I'm determined because I want to be there the second it goes live. But that is going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another video like this. I do try to cover every Wednesday update and more. Make sure to go submit your thoughts for the birthday horse that Star Stable has on Instagram. And, you know, tell me what you submitted if you want to, because I'm nosy, like I said. And I will see you all tomorrow for the start of the Equestrian Festival. Bye!